Hello guys and welcome for another Hearthrune video. Lately during the stream I'm going over many different builds and classes in order to share with you the different possibilities when it comes to PvP in New World Hearthrune. Of course, in some of those cases I have just the basic knowledge about the builds, but with the repetition and small tweaks along the way I'm able to get them to work for the purpose what they are picked for. One such combination was the Great Axe Abyss paired with Void Gauntlet as a secondary weapon. I've tried this build probably a few months ago, and at that time my gear was far from perfect, but the feel of power in the 1v1 encounters was already there. I decided to put some more time and effort into it, and now I can finally share with you my opinion about this build with some small talk and explanation for my personal choices. I believe that this build is extremely powerful in the current Season 6, but I'm even more convinced that it will remain a strong pick for the upcoming Season 7 as well. The first thing I will go over will be the weapons, and as I already mentioned, we need the artifact Great Axe called Abyss, which you can obtain quite easily from the corrupted portals in the Murgarte list chest run while you are doing your dailies. The artifact is coming with fixed perks, Abyssal Attunement and Refreshing Move, as well as the unique passive which will increase your base damage by 15% whenever your mana is below 100%. For a last perk I prefer to add Crippling Reap, as I will be able to apply 50% slow to my enemies for 4 seconds. This will provide you with a lot of chase potential and of course huge pressure over enemy light players and healers. On my other hand, as a secondary weapon, I choose to run this build with Void Gauntlet. For perks, ideally you want to have Slowing Tether, Keen and Play Crits, but having any Void Gauntlet with Slowing Tether would do the work as well. There are two main reasons why I choose to go with Void Gauntlet, and I will try to explain them quickly. The first and quite obvious one is that you need a weapon that can spend your mana in order to activate the passive from your Great Axe. If you don't run a magical weapon, your unique passive will remain inactive and you will lose the potential of 15% base damage increase. The second reason is that the skill tree of the Void Gauntlet is amazing when it comes to small skirmishes, 1v1 fights or even chasing enemies. With a lot of Empower, Weaken, Roots, Slows and even anti-healing effects, the Void Gauntlet is the perfect addition to this build. On top of that, it also shares the same type of damage, which can become handy in case you use void damage on your ring or void rune glass gems on your armor. Now when we know the weapons for the build, let's take a quick look on their skill trees in order to see what are the needed abilities and passives so we can maximize the potential from the build. Starting with the Great Axe, we want to get the main 3 abilities, Reap, Charge and Maelstrom. Those are your bread and butter when it comes to chasing and dueling. You want to get only 1 point of upgrade in your Reap ability just so you can get your increased range from 5 to 8 meters, but I personally prefer to not invest further as the animation lock will keep you for too long in one place. On the side of the Charge ability, I like to add the 2 extra points, as with those you can hit for huge numbers close to 5 or 6k if you hit on max range. Make sure that you use the right mouse button right before hitting your enemy in order to get that juicy extra damage proc. The passive from the left side are mainly for Empower, critical damage, armor penetration and some small self-sustain. Also, the ultimate passive from the left side is your must-have choice to guarantee your chase potential, giving you extra movement speed and Empower. From the right side of the skill tree, you want to invest fully into your Maelstrom ability, as it will give you a lot of damage, range and consumption of all the projectiles while the animation of the ability is running. For passives, the best choice would be the 4 that you see on your screen, and in short they will provide you with some utility and rooting potential. Next on our list is the skill tree of the Void Gauntlet. Here there is nothing too special apart from the 3 core abilities, Scream, Oblivion and Tether. The Scream can provide nice root and potential of anti-healing effects in case you have the perk for it. The Oblivion will empower all your attacks and will increase your stamina recovery while you are being on top of the ability, and of course the best of all 3, the Tether, which will empower you for 20% while weakening your opponent for another 20% And not only that, but also if you have the perk for it, you will additionally slow the target with 42% for 3 seconds. The passives from the Void Gauntlet skill tree are not so important, but in general they will provide you with some additional empower and cooldowns in specific scenarios. With the weapons and their skill trees out of the way, let's dive into the armor and jewelry pieces for the build. There are few small changes which can be done depending on your goal and preference, so feel free to tweak a bit the items if you feel like it. The artifact of choice would be Azot Conductor Pants, which will give us 15% elemental damage while we are using a medium loadout. For last perk you want to choose between Enchanted Ward or Shirking Heals, as they come with already fixed health and refreshing. For your head and chest piece you can cut a bit the cost and use the pieces from the Frigid Dawn set. With their illegal combination of Enchanted Ward and Elemental Aversion, you can get extremely high value even at 700 gear score. For last perk on both of them, ideally you want to slot Shirking Heals. For the last two pieces, gloves and boots, you should aim to get a Gorgon 725 gear score crafts. Those two are the cheapest armor crafts from the Gorgon, so it would not hurt your pockets too much. I personally like to run with Enchanted Ward, Shirking Heals and Trust Conditioning for both, but you can replace the conditioning with weapon perks such as Putrefying Scream for anti-healing effects or Enfeebling Maelstrom for weakening debuff on your enemies. The jewelries also have their variations and you can run few different amulets. Ankh is probably the most common one for all types of Shirking Heal builds with last perk protection, which can be Slash, Trust or Flame. However, I'm not really an Ankh person, so I decided to go with a crafted one. I like to go with Slash Protection, Stamina Recovery or Shirking Empower, and for third perk you can basically choose between Health, Divine, Empower, Refreshing or Refreshing Recovery. The choice is all yours, so make sure to base the third perk off of your playstyle. For a ring, I like to always go with Void Damage and Hearty as two concrete perks, and for last one I personally choose to go with Healing Breeze. But of course, if you don't like the breeze, you can definitely choose Mortal Empower or Invigorated Punishment. The earring I would like to have on this build is the Endless Thirst artifact, but unfortunately I still didn't get to see Savage Divide in Mutation Rotation. For the last perk on the artifact I would go with Refreshing Toast, but Nimble is also not that bad of a choice. If you would prioritize Ankh, however, you cannot really slot a second jewelry as an artifact, so therefore you would have to choose a crafted variation for your earring. If that's the case, I would suggest you to go with Refreshing Toast, Fortifying Toast and Nimble, as those are the three best choices. While playing the build and testing different things, I've tried couple of Hearthrunes while getting the build together and even upgraded my Dark Ascent one to the maximum, as it would deal void damage as well. Unfortunately, all of the different Hearthrunes feel a bit weak in different scenarios, and it feels like Stoneform remains the best pick for aggressive and defensive plays. The attribute split for the build is quite simple as well, and I can ensure you that Magnify will never be an issue. I go with 200 Constitution and everything that's left is going into Intelligence. If you feel like it, you might give a try to 25 Focus for some extra cooldowns, but I don't think it's even worth it. Same goes for the 25 Dexterity, as you don't really want to critically hit people. I know that it sounds wrong, but all the critical hits will regenerate you mana, and this would mean that unique passive of the Great Axe will not be active. And with that, I think I've gone through everything related to the Great Axe, Abyss and Void Gauntlet combo. I hope that you will enjoy the build and you will get nice plays with it. If you think that I've missed something, please make sure to let me know in the comments or in my Discord community channel, for which I will leave a link in the description. If you want to know which are the builds coming in the near future, hop on the next livestream here in YouTube or in Twitch. The links for the platforms will also be mentioned in the description below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.